What if the true power to shape another's choice lies not in force or decree, but in a whisper, a glance, a hidden thread woven through their perception? In the courts of 16th century Florence, Niccolò Machiavelli watched princes and popes alike bend or break beneath the weight of subtle persuasion. He chronicled alliances forged in silence, betrayals sealed with a courteous bow. Today, the same invisible currents flow beneath our world. In gleaming boardrooms, a deft question steers negotiations. On social media feeds, a single headline anchors our judgments. At rallies, well-placed words fan the embers of conviction into roaring flames. Psychology and history converge in the laboratories of modern influence. EEG scans revealing the hidden triggers of compliance, scholars tracing a lineage from dusty parchment to viral challenge. Over the next hour, we'll unveil 15 enduring strategies, once wielded by dukes and diplomats, now wielded by marketers, politicians, and power brokers of every stripe. From the art of framing reality to the urgency of a ticking clock, each trick emerged centuries ago and adapted with every technological leap. As we journey from Machiavelli's shadowed hallways to today's digital arenas, you'll discover how your own mind carries the faint echo of those Renaissance intrigues. Every click, every offer, every free gift you encounter may bear the imprint of these age-old scripts. Prepare to question your assumptions, to see beyond the surface of persuasion. The curtain rises on the hidden theater of manipulation, and you're about to learn the scripts that govern the most intimate corners of thought. Anchoring is the invisible tether that drags our judgments toward whatever floats in first. Imagine encountering a price tag so absurdly high that any lesser number feels suddenly reasonable. Your mind surrenders before you even protest. In countless negotiations, the opening bid sets a cage around every counteroffer that follows. But anchors aren't always numbers. A single phrase, "This is the most exclusive opportunity," primes your emotions to crave what follows. A dramatic image of peril at a charity gala ensures your heart races before you learn the cause. Psychologists have shown that our brains latch onto that first spark, whether it's a dollar figure, an alarming statistic, or a promise of prestige, and build every subsequent impression around it. In real estate ads, listing an inflated home value makes a modest discount seem generous. Online flash sales flash, only 5 left, in red, so you click without a second thought. Social media headlines weaponize anchors with "you'll never believe what happened next," flooding your curiosity before substance arrives. Under the hood, your amygdala and prefrontal cortex seize on that initial anchor, narrowing your mental field until you follow its pull. Yet every anchor can be countered. Introduce a fresh reference, a sober statistic, a neutral price, an alternate viewpoint, and you reset the frame, reclaiming your autonomy. So ask yourself, when was the last time you saw the chain before you accepted its pull? Scarcity transforms a world of plenty into a battlefield of desperation. Picture a swarm of fans surging through steel barricades at midnight, all vying for the final pair of limited edition sneakers. The roar fades to stunned silence as the last shoe disappears, and in that instant, the value of those footsteps and the promise of exclusivity soars. Our brains are wired for that moment. Evolutionary psychologists remind us that in prehistoric times, a dwindling herd or a shrinking harvest could mean the difference between feast and famine. When today's flash sale banner screams, "Only 3 left in stock," it isn't mere marketing. It's a primal alarm, tugging at ancient circuits that equate rarity with survival. Niccolò Machiavelli himself counseled princes to hoard grain and dole it out in measured scarcity, keeping the populace beholden. The power of the vanishing commodity hasn't dimmed. It's merely found new theaters. E-commerce platforms pepper every product page with countdown timers and ominous red badges that spark our amygdala into overdrive. Functional MRI scans show reward centers lighting up the moment we sense scarcity. Our pulse quickens, our chest tightens, and rational thought drifts into the periphery. But scarcity is a double-edged sword. A marketing guru confesses how artificial shortages, fake waiting lists, time-limited codes can skyrocket impulse buys until customers catch on. Once trust erodes, the very tool you wield can backfire, leaving reputations in tatters and regulators at your door. Here's the inverse power move. Promise unlimited access, free returns, lifetime guarantees, lulling your audience into comfort. Then, when it suits you, pull the rug with a genuine scarcity trigger. Enrollment closes in 24 hours, or seats limited to the first 50. That calculated swing, from endless possibility to urgent scarcity, magnifies compliance. Remember, withholding a single grain of rice can starve hope. Use scarcity with precision and integrity, lest you starve the very trust you depend on. Once you say yes to a small request, your own self-image binds you to the path you've chosen. Picture a crowded street stall. A vendor hands you a clipboard, asks you to sign a harmless petition. No harm done, you think. Moments later, with pen still warm in hand, he offers you a handcrafted keepsake for a steep price. Against your better judgment, you pay. This is the foot in the door, a tiny nod that grows into full-blown agreement. Behavioral scientists have shown that each little compliance lights up neural circuits tied to our self-narrative. You signed that paper. You must be the kind of person who supports this cause. And if you support the cause, you'll probably take the next step. Machiavelli's successors understood this centuries ago in Italian city-states. Oaths sworn before the public, I bound nobles to loyalty far more tightly than any sword. Today, influencers on social media employ the same gambit. A like here, a share there, each click etching commitment deeper into our identity. Volunteers in our experiment described the shock of realizing how far they'd strayed, agreeing first to a survey, then enrolling in a subscription, then championing a campaign. Neuroimaging reveals each ask fortifies the bridge between action and identity. The power is yours to wield or to resist. Plant a harmless seed of agreement and watch it blossom into monumental change. But tread carefully. Once those roots anchor, consistency becomes a force as unyielding as gravity. Reciprocity binds us in invisible chains. A seemingly small favor, an unexpected slice of cake from a waiter, a coworker surprise coffee, plants a seed of obligation that quickly takes root. In that moment, we feel an almost physical tug. They did something nice for me. I owe them. Anthropologists trace this impulse to our tribal pasts, when mutual aid meant the difference between life and death. Gifts forge alliances, debts secured protection. Machiavelli understood this well. He counseled princes to dangle carefully chosen presents, fine fabrics, tokens of favor, to win the loyalty of restless nobles. Centuries later, diplomats still deploy the same tactic. A seemingly magnanimous invitation, a small concession, a timely meal that opens doors and dismantles defenses. Consider a nonprofit that doubled its annual giving by slipping donors a fridge magnet and a personalized thank you note. Recipients found themselves sending gifts back, not out of generosity alone, but because their brains craved balance. Neuroimaging studies reveal why. Every kindness activates reward circuits, then whispers through confirmation biases, convincing us to restore equilibrium by reciprocating. But reciprocity has a dark side. In covert operations, gifts disguise ulterior motives. A free gadget laced with spyware, a flattering compliment that belies manipulation. Case studies expose campaigns built on engineered guilt. When refusing the favor feels like a moral failing, we comply out of shame rather than choice. A leading behavioral ethicist warns, wield reciprocity with care. Genuine generosity can forge lasting trust. Strategic freebies can erode it. If your gift rings false, the bond snaps, and your audience recoils, wary of the next free offer. So pause next time you accept something on the house. Ask yourself, is this kindness born of goodwill, or is it the first move in a carefully scripted dance? Because in the ledger of human interaction, Even a free dessert can carry a price tag. We instinctively turn to the crowd when we're uncertain. So when we see a line forming, we fall in a step. Imagine a solo traveler in an unfamiliar city. She pauses before two cafes. One is empty, the other, a snaking queue of locals. Without a second thought, she joins the line, convinced by the silent endorsement of strangers. This is social proof, our built-in reliance on other people's choices to guide our own. From the hypnotic pull of viral challenges to the magnetic draw of bestseller lists, perceived popularity becomes its own force. Social psychologists show that a handful of early adopters can tip a fledgling trend into a stampede. An animated chart might track the exponential climb. 10 followers beget 100, 100 beget 1,000, each new participant reassured by the crowd before. In Machiavelli's Florence, public ceremonies and staged ovations signaled unanimous support for a ruler, silencing dissent. Today, 4.9-star ratings, #1 trending, and influencer-approved badges replicate that chorus online. Our mirror neurons primed to echo the herd. A marketing director confesses, tag someone just like you, and conversion rates spike overnight. But social proof can backfire. Echo chambers amplify extremes. Mob mentality smothers nuance. To break the spell, introduce a contrarian ripple, a respected outsider questioning consensus. And suddenly, attention pivots. In the theater of influence, one dissenting voice can shatter the facade of unanimity. Authority is the mental shortcut we gift to any figure who wears its mantle. Picture a stranger in a crisp white coat, stethoscope draped like a medal, offering medical advice so absurd it borders on satire. Yet patients nod along, pen and prescription pad at the ready. We're hardwired to defer to the symbols of power. Uniforms that promise order, diplomas that whisper expertise, titles that command our trust. Niccolo Machiavelli understood this centuries ago, advising rulers to cloak their edicts in the sanctity of courtly rank. Today's advertisers borrow the same playbook, lab coats, clinical charts, impenetrable jargon, to lend every product an aura of incontestable authority. In the 1960s, Stanley Milgram's obedience experiments revealed the dark core of this deference. Ordinary people willing to administer shocks because a lab-coated scientist told them to. We cut to modern PR campaigns where experts peddle dubious supplements, their credentials trailing like a one-man stampede. But authority is a fragile facade. A single whistleblower, a leaked email, a shaky credential can topple the tallest pedestal. When that happens, credibility shatters, sometimes irreparably. The lesson is clear: wield authority only when it's real. And if you find yourself tempted by borrowed robes, inoculate your audience first. Invite them to question credentials, to seek proof beneath the parchment. Because in the theater of persuasion, true power lies in earned expertise, not borrowed titles. We open on two colleagues sharing a laugh over coffee. The banter feels effortless, the jokes perfectly timed. Later, the same colleague leans in with a request, an ask so significant it would have felt intrusive from a stranger. But from someone you like, you barely hesitate. Our brains are wired to trust those who mirror us. Our expressions, our values, even our posture. Social psychologists have mapped 4 pillars of liking: physical attractiveness, perceived similarity, sincere praise, and shared goals. When these align, our defenses soften, and consent comes almost as a reflex. Machiavelli's princes understood this centuries ago. They hosted grand banquets, lavished guests with compliments, and orchestrated conviviality to bind allies closer than any treaty. Today's sales trainers preach the same charm offensive. Match your prospect's language, echo their concerns, then slip in your ask as though it's a favor to them. In brain scans, rapport triggers oxytocin surges, the so-called love hormone, cementing trust at a molecular level. A corporate coach admits that, in the right hands, this can feel like genuine connection. In the wrong hands, it's manipulation masquerading as friendship. Your takeaway: build bridges with authentic warmth. Find real common ground, offer honest praise, listen more than you speak, and remain vigilant. When flattery feels too perfect, pause and ask whether you're forging a true bond or falling for a carefully crafted illusion. Frame is everything. Two doctors stand before identical data. One says 90% of patients survive this procedure. The other warns 10% will not make it. The numbers are the same, yet our hearts pound at the mention of loss far more than they swell at the promise of gain. Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky called it prospect theory. Losses cut deeper, burn longer, shape our choices before we even weigh the facts. Centuries ago, Machiavelli pitched harsh edicts as necessary evils, framing them as the lesser horror in service of the greater good, quelling dissent before it could ignite. Today, political campaigns brand surveillance pro-security, while ad campaigns sell price hikes under the guise of a smart tax. Eye-tracking studies reveal our gaze schemes past the fine print drawn by the lens we're given. Words and images sculpt our focus and blind us to what lies outside the frame. A seasoned PR strategist leans in. Crises aren't problems to solve, but narratives to rewrite. Control the opening line, and you steer every reaction that follows. Turn catastrophe into opportunity before doubt has a chance to root. So here's your challenge. Scroll through your news feed and pick one headline. Rewrite its frame. Shift loss to gain or vice versa. And watch how your own response transforms. Once you see the lens, you can choose where to look. We begin on a bustling street corner. A friendly volunteer hands passersby a clipboard and asks for just 30 seconds to answer two simple questions about community parks. The survey takes seconds, and most agree. As the pen rises from the final line, the volunteer leans in and says, "Would you consider a small monthly gift to help maintain these green spaces?" Almost without thinking, many nod again, now committed to a recurring donation. This is the foot in the door, a tiny yes that primes the mind for larger requests. In 1966, psychologists Friedman and Fraser asked homeowners to display a small sign promoting safe driving. Weeks later, when they returned asking to install a massive billboard, over half agreed, compared to only 17% in a control group. Niccolò Machiavelli counseled his commanders to accept small tributes before demanding absolute fealty, each concession deepening the bond. Today's digital world refines the tactic with micro-commitments, a checkbox for email updates, a like on a cause page, a $1 donation, each click reinforcing our self-narrative. Brain scans reveal those early affirmations lighting up neural pathways, making the idea of backing out feel like breaking a promise to oneself. A UX designer admits, by smoothing the path, removing friction at each step, you skyrocket conversions. But beware, too many asks too soon can trigger ask fatigue, breeding annoyance instead of loyalty. Try this yourself. Ask a friend for just 1 minute of their time. Chances are they'll stay for 5. And once they're there, you'll have the leverage to guide the next ask, one small yes at a time. An overzealous fundraiser strides up with an urgent plea. Could you spare $1,000 right now to save endangered whales? The target recoils, eyes widen, shoulders tense, before the fundraiser bobs back. Okay, how about just $50? Relief floods the listener's face, and a modest gift becomes a no-brainer. This is the door in the face, an extreme opening gambit engineered to prime guilt and obligation. In 1975, Robert Cialdini's classic study laid it bare. Participants who refuse a large request were over 4 times more likely to comply with a smaller follow-up than those who were asked only the modest favor. Psychologists attribute this to our aversion to appearing selfish. Once we say no to the big ask, saying yes to the second feels like moral restoration. Machiavelli's spies deployed similar tactics in shadow wars, demanding lofty tributes before settling for half, leaving adversaries grateful for the concession. Today's telemarketers script their calls around that push and pull, framing the modest pitch as a compromise rather than a sale. Inside our brains, conflict resolution centers light up in that relief moment. our neural circuitry rewarding the shift from refusal to acceptance. But wield this trick carelessly, and the first ask can feel manipulative, igniting resentment instead of compliance. Use the door in the face sparingly, and always ensure your ultimate request is fair, lest you slam the door on future goodwill. They lead you into the showroom and place 2 rings under soft spotlights. One glitters at a staggering $10,000. Before you can catch your breath, they unveil a second band, simple, elegant, priced at a mere $500. Suddenly, that $500 ring feels like a steal. This is the contrast principle in action. Our brains judge items not on their absolute merits, but on how they stack up against what's beside them. Behavioral scientists call it a cognitive shortcut, one that saves mental energy at the cost of our critical eye. When the expensive option looms large, the affordable one shines brighter by default. Centuries ago, Machiavelli orchestrated public displays of harsh justice, public floggings, harsh taxes, only to follow with clemency. The relief felt by the populace transformed him from tyrant to savior overnight. Today's retailers replicate this tactic online with compare at prices and side-by-side spec charts, making every deal feel extraordinary. Under the hood, fMRI scans reveal activity in the prefrontal cortex dipping when stark contrasts are presented. Our inner skeptic takes a nap, and we're swept along by relative appeal. A veteran negotiator confesses, by offering an extreme proposal first, you soften resistance, paving the way for your real ask. But here's the twist. Reverse the play. Present your boldest request after an even harsher alternative, and what once seemed outrageous becomes the only reasonable choice. In the theater of persuasion, context is everything, and the right comparison can rewrite the entire script. A single word can change everything. Tell someone you're a natural leader, and suddenly they search for moments to step forward. In a classroom study, children branded as math whizzes tackle problems with newfound confidence, and their scores soared. This is labeling, a self-fulfilling prophecy where identity tags become personal mandates. Psychologists link it to the Pygmalion effect, our brains wiring themselves to match expectations. When we hear a label that flatters our core self-image, dopamine centers reward conformity, reinforcing the behavior. Machiavelli weaponized labels too, branding dissenters as traitors to mobilize public outrage and justify brutal crackdowns. Today's politicians draw lines of us versus them, cementing loyalty within echo chambers where algorithms amplify only the tags we already wear. On social media, a single hashtag, #innovator, #rebel, can mold communities around a shared identity, blinding participants to alternative perspectives. Branding experts know the power of a well-crafted label. It must resonate, appeal to an ideal self, and repeat until it sticks. Yet the same tactic can be turned inward. Challenge a negative label by refusing its script, or neutralize it by framing an opposing identity. Here's your experiment. Choose one positive tag, bold thinker, compassionate ally, and weave it into your daily self-talk. Watch how, almost invisibly, your actions realign to live up to the name you've given yourself. Fear and aspiration are 2 sides of the same coin. One drives us from danger, the other lures us toward hope. Imagine an anti-smoking campaign that cuts between images of healthy lungs reborn and graphic, cancer-ravaged tissue. The promise of a longer life pulls your heart, while the terror of loss claws at your gut. Behavioral economists call this dynamic the interplay of loss aversion and goal setting. We dread losses more than we value equal gains. Yet a vivid vision of success can ignite our most ambitious drives. Machiavelli counseled princes to wield fear like a tempered blade, then sheath it with occasional favor, keeping subjects uneasy enough to obey, yet hopeful enough to remain loyal. Today's political ads fuse looming crises, climate collapse, economic ruin, with utopian promises of renewal. Neuroscience reveals why. The amygdala fires in panic at threats, while the nucleus accumbens pulses at visions of reward. Together, They create a cocktail so potent that mere messaging can reshape behavior. A nonprofit harnessed this by juxtaposing stories of children suffering without clean water alongside footage of thriving communities where donations made the difference. Their sign UPS doubled overnight. Yet there's a warning. Too much fear paralyzes. Too much promise rings hollow. Without a credible path forward, audiences slip into cynicism or inaction. Use fear and aspiration as a pair, but only when you can back both with substance. Offer the path to a better future as clearly as you reveal the stakes of failure, and you'll ignite both the flight from danger and the flight toward hope. Your attention darts to the flash of a bright silk scarf as the magician's right hand fans it across the stage. Yet in that instant, his left fingertips lift your coin. This is distraction, the art of controlling focus while the real action happens out of view. Cognitive psychologists call it inattentional blindness. Our minds fixate on the spectacular, blind to the subtle slide of the actual move. On city streets, a magician's flourish and a laugh track mask the sleight of hand. Online, outrage clickbait and celebrity gossip distract us from policy shifts and corporate malfeasance.